Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 21 career mode, and today we are here for the second episode of our Moto2 season with the second and third rounds of the season at Argentina and Austin. But of course, the first thing we've got to do is advance forward to that point, so we've got one free week, advance forward to week 12. And as you can see, there is no notification, so the next thing to do then is to head into the Argentinian Grand Prix. Hopefully we have a little bit of a better weekend than we did in Qatar, although the weekend as a whole was not too bad, obviously starting on the front row of the grid and practice wasn't too bad, but in the race we only finished 11th, so hopefully we can try and crack into the top 10 this week, hopefully a top 5, ideally it'd be up in the objective area, the podium, so that we don't lose any reputation, but a top 10 or a top 5, I'd be fairly happy with that, just as I'm still trying to get to grips with the bike, and we didn't do Argentina or Austin last year. So then, with about 20 minutes left in FP3, I have done all of my practice objectives except actually one of them, which is to get third place in the session, which I actually currently am in third place, but the session obviously has to end for that to be completed. Even the long lap penalty, I managed to do that one this time. It did fail the first time I tried it, once again, like previously, but I did it again, and it succeeded the second time. So it seems like the long lap penalty is definitely bugged. Well, the practice program for it is definitely bugged, because it doesn't seem to work. Sometimes it fails, sometimes it doesn't, because I actually looked up online to see if it's just me, but other people seem to be saying the same thing, that they can't do it on the first try either sometimes, so like, even when you actually go through it cleanly and beat the lap time, you just have to try it again. But it did actually complete this time. We completed the one with the... Oh! Big crash for Arbolino there. Arbolino loses the front. Luckily, he didn't quite take Augusto Fernandez with him. I think I should probably get out of the way here, because the AI don't seem to know what to do when you're riding around on track. But anyway, that should leave us in a good position, because this is the only dry session of the weekend. Well, the only dry practice session, which is why I'm in FP3. So we'll skip to the end of this session, and hopefully we should be third place and through into qualifying 2. So at the end of the session then, yes, we do manage to stay third place, so that is the practice program completed there. So only one left to go, which is actually to out-qualify and outrace my teammates. Whether I'll be able to do that, not too sure, but either way, Marco Bezzecchi ended up top of the session, just ahead of Marcel Schrotter in second place by just over a tenth of a second. I was in third place, nearly 3 tenths back. Fernandez, only a few hundredths for... Well, actually, he was a good... Yeah, it was almost a tenth behind me there in fourth place. Di Giannantonio in fifth, half a second back, but the person I'm surprised by is Cameron Beaubier in 6th place. That is a good result for him in a free practice session. You've got the race winner from last time, Sam Lowes, down in 9th place. Where's Remy Gardner, our other teammate, down in 12th position. But it is extremely close, as you'd expect with Moto2. But I'm actually liking my chances here, because as we know, the AI are always slower in qualifying than they are in practice. So 3rd place in free practice, that could be a pole position for us potentially. So let's head into qualifying 2 now, and let's see if we can get pole position. So it is actually clear weather in this session, so that will definitely affect the tyre temperatures quite a bit. Something I didn't actually mention in practice is that I was running a setup that put the weight a little bit further back, and that just gave me a lot more confidence and a lot more time throughout the lap. It was very similar to the Moto2. In fact, it'll be the exact same setup I ran in Moto2 in MotoGP 20 for the league, purely because in Moto2 for me there's just way too much spinning on the rear and I just can't control it, so like I can't even do a lap without shredding a tyre. So just put the weight back, literally with the guided engineer, just put the weight back 1 and that was it. That seems to give me a lot more confidence, so we should be a little bit more on the pace this weekend. But of course the order is exactly the same, because that was the last free practice session. But coming through qualifying 1, we've got Augusto Fernandez, Iagora, Lorenzo Baldassarri and Aaron Canet. So I'm really hoping that we can make a good start to the season here. Of course, we already had the first race. Wasn't too bad, good qualifying, not a great race. But I'm hoping that we should be able to be a little bit stronger in this one, especially since we already were 3rd place in a free practice session, which is much better than anything we did previously. I'll give the softs a go, but I bet they'll probably be shredded by the end of the lap. There you go, we got my favourite glitch where it tells you the 2 practice programs you completed again when you come back on track. But at the minute then, we've got Celestino Vietti currently fastest with a 43.2, which again is quite a bit off what they were doing. I think we're in the 42s, definitely. Might have even been the 41s, but I can't quite recall exactly. You can see, look how much smoother the power is with a brand new fresh tyre and with this setup I'm on. I don't know why, it just makes the power delivery so much more, well, not so much more smooth, it just allows you to be a bit better with the power delivery, a bit stronger, because the rear tyre doesn't spin quite as much. But Di Giannantonio rejoining right ahead of me. which is not ideal because he's on an out lap. I've gone in a little bit wide actually, but hopefully we could try and pass him on this next straight. Although he's actually pulled a fair old margin on me, so I don't know whether I'll be able to pass him up here. But he could be a good reference for the brakes because I'm still not fully comfortable with this track yet. But Vietti, a tenth quicker than me in the first sector. Bit of slipstream off Di Giannantonio should close us up to that time a bit, I would have thought. It's braking a little bit late. Yep, a bit late because you know it's late when the rear starts to step out on you again. But interestingly enough, this weekend I've been struggling with the front tyre a lot more. If you look on the right hand side, the front tyre is very, very hot, which is really weird in the MotoGP game to be saying that, honestly. But still very close to Vietti's time in that second sector, although Di Giannantonio is definitely getting away from me, so good job it is an out lap and not his actual flying lap. Because it definitely would be a good way quicker than mine. In fact, I've got nothing left on the tyres already, look. We are definitely have to come out with a medium. Oh yes, definitely. Especially in this sun, where it's not cloudy anymore, we are definitely going to need medium. The softs are almost well, they are a no-go in Moto 2, it seems. I don't think I'll bother trying them again. I just thought I'd give them another go here, since obviously Qatar in the desert, probably not going to be ideal for a set of soft tyres, but yeah, here at Argentina it seems to be the same thing, so I would say just give softs a swerve, front and rear. Honestly, 2/10 away from what what Vietti did on pole position, so not too bad. But we'll head back to the pits and I'll try another lap on mediums. So starting our second lap then, Agora just overtook me at the penultimate turn, but we've gone back in front of him. I'm hoping we don't have a fight on this lap. So through the last corner then up towards the line, what's this time going to be? Possibly only 9th place, I'm only 6/10 off the top time. But that's only 9th. With 5 minutes left in the session, I haven't got enough time to head back to the pits to change tyres again. So unfortunately, it seems like we are going to be pretty far down on the grid here. I was looking at a pole position going into this session, but it definitely doesn't seem that way. The medium is even too soft for these conditions. You can see, look, it's completely gone. So I'm just going to have to cruise around on a really low power mode, try and kind of replenish that medium, and just try again. So through the last corner, up towards the line, what's this one going to be? The rear slid, and that might have ruined the lap over the line. A 10th off pole, that's 4th place. I'll take that. We almost had a huge accident. We found a decent amount of time there, good half a second on that lap. Unfortunately, it's not quite in the top 3 positions, so the team aren't going to be super thrilled with that. But with about 1:30 to go left in the session, I think we should be okay with that. I can't see anybody else really improving much more now, so we'll end off the session here, and hopefully that is still 4th place. So then at the end of the session, we do remain in 4th position. Of course, there was only a couple minutes left, so no one really improved massively. But the big surprise is Lorenzo Baldassarri is somehow on pole position on the MV Agusta. So I'm going to have a guess and say that some of his pace is left over from MotoGP 20, which was incorrect in that game as well. So 3 games now, Lorenzo Baldassarri has carried his pace. He's carried his pace from 19 to 20 and through to 21, when really he's been nowhere near the front since the start of 2019. So a little bit weird to see that in the game, but that's one of those things you just have to put up with. But Fabio Di Giannantonio then in 2nd place on the grid, Marco Bezzecchi 3rd place, myself of course in 4th, Augusto Fernandez in 5th, my teammates Fernandez, so Raul Fernandez in 9th place, and Gardner is all the way down in 16th position, so a poor qualifying there for Remy Gardner. We've got Sam Lowes in 13th, so championship leader not in a great position. I can't remember who finished 2nd in the race, honestly. I think it might have been Remy Gardner, actually. So the 2 championship contenders pretty far down the order. And I think Bezzecchi would have been about 3rd. So Bezzecchi is definitely in a position to pick up the pieces here. But we'll head into the race now. Hopefully we can try and go forward this time rather than backwards, because the qualifying was slightly worse than I expected. However, I think we probably have a little bit more underlying pace. There's not really sectors I feel like I'm struggling a lot. It's mainly just the tyres. And in the race, we should be on hard tyres, so it should be a little bit better. So down here on the grid then, we're looking at Jake Dixon in 17th position. And I think, obviously, the tyre combines we've got to go with is a hard. I say I think it's literally mandatory. You're going to have to go with a hard. Nothing else is going to last, considering that even a medium tyre doesn't last a lap, really. I had to slow down, back off for a lap just to let it cool down. And I just managed to pump in a pretty decent time at the end. I kind of hit my braking points probably a little bit better, didn't run wide so much, and was just a little bit more careful on the throttle. First and second sectors, the time was pretty even, but it was the 3rd and 4th that I gained the time, and I think I just went in a bit hot into the uphill left-hander. I think that's where I lost a lot of my time on the previous lap. But either way then, 4th place, not too bad. Once again out qualifying both my teammates, so if I can outrace them, we get a little bit of extra research data there. And I would take a guess that if we can get the race objective, that'll probably surpass anything that we lost from qualifying. So hopefully we should get a good weekend for reputation as well. But very, very strict that we've got to stick to the front row. Last season, of course, that wouldn't have been a problem. But this time, we've been struggling a little bit for pace, although it is only the 2nd round of the season, so don't want to speak too soon. But we'll get this race started now then. Hopefully we can try and move forward, because 4th place, got to try and aim for a podium, really.
Everything here is ready to start the race at Termas and COTA. Riders have just one more thing on their mind now, being the first across the finish line.
It's so weird seeing Baldassarri on that MV Agusta on pole position. It just doesn't make any sense in the real life. But waiting for the lights to go out here then at Argentina. Lights out and away we go off the line. Not a terrible launch initially, but we still are being completely swamped by all the AI. As we go down towards the first corner, we got an Intact GP bike on the inside, Vietti just in front of us. One of the Aspars on the outside as well, but trying to hang it around the outside in the middle. So there's splitting between a few AI there. And we're now back up into 6th place, so it's not been a terrible start overall. We're close up to the back of Fernandez now. We're up the inside. Di Giannantonio's taken the lead away from Baldassarri, so he's going to try and get away, because I'm guessing Baldassarri will still be a bit slower in the race than he was in qualifying because of the MV Agusta. It'll definitely slow him down more in the race than it did in qualifying, but not a terrible start actually. We started 4th. We're back up into 5th position after losing a position or two, and there we go, streaming past Fernandez. And here we go to the outside, hitting the brakes. We go past Fernandez. Bezzecchi goes past Baldassarri as well. Can I try and pick off Baldassarri here? Not quite able to get past him. But it seems like Fabio Di Giannantonio is going to try and get away. And I want to try and get past this MV Agusta as well, because it's not going to quite have the pace of the Calixes. Around the outside we go. I'm not really sure why he got off the power, because we didn't touch. So he got off the power for seemingly no reason. But we're already straight onto the back of Bezzecchi, so it seems like we're definitely more aggressive on this opening lap compared to Qatar. I can actually make up positions, because we actually have gone forward from a starting position, which is a rare sight in this career mode. Obviously, we went backwards initially. We fought our way back through some good strategy in the first corner, and then some good attacking moves throughout this lap. And of course, we streamed past Fernandez by using that Power Mode 3 on that back straight. That is going to come in crucial in this race, because we're right to the end of the first lap then. Flicking the bike over through the final turn. We're close up to the back of Bezzecchi. We got a really good run on him actually. Can we try and make the move up into Power Mode 3? Here we go to the outside. Can we go around the outside of Marco Bezzecchi? Yes, I can. So we're up into 2nd place now. So we're actually having a great race so far. I mean, this probably won't be the end result, because I'll probably lose tyres towards the end. But we're up into 2nd place from 4th of the grid. Let's see what we can do about Fabio Di Giannantonio in front, because he had a great start, got past Baldassarri. He wasn't going to be held up by that MV Agusta, whereas the rest of us obviously were a little bit. But we're still in front of Ralph Fernandez, so Baldassarri's not gone too far backwards. But like I was saying, obviously in qualifying, it's more based on the rider performance as far as the game is concerned. But in the race, the bikes play a much bigger part, so you'll definitely lose a lot of time if your bike isn't up to scratch. So fastest lap of the race to me there, a little bit quicker than Fabio Di Giannantonio. We've got almost 7 tenths back to Bezzecchi now, but it's still about 7 tenths to Di Giannantonio, and we've gone very wide through this first corner because we lost the rear. But as you can see, Fernandez has now been shuffled back into... Baldassarri has been shuffled back to 8th place, so that MV is slipping through the order. But Ralph Fernandez is up to 4th now, so he'll definitely be coming after me if he can get past Bezzecchi. So Digi's definitely getting away from me now. He's still about 9 tenths in front, but I've just not got the pace to catch him up, I don't think. So I think Digi is going to have this one, but we are getting away from Bezzecchi, so that's still a positive sign. So even if we can't win this race, we're making 2nd place be a bit more secure. Oh, it's been a crash! Fernandez mine's gone down, so my teammate has crashed out of 4th position, sorry. So not a good day. Well, it is going to be a good day for Ajo for me, but not a good day for my 2 teammates, because I don't know where Gardner is, but of course he started 16th. He's not got through into the top 8 yet. Baldassarri is still in 8th place. But he's really struggling. I just do a new fastest lap of the race there, 42.3. So a little bit quicker than Di Giannantonio, but it's just not enough. So I'm not sure what's happened to Digi on this lap, but he's lost a lot of time. But he gained it all back sort of out the last couple of corners there. So he's still got a fair, decent margin over me. I don't think I'm going to catch him, but I'll give it everything I've got. And speaking of Remy Gardner as well, on the previous lap, he's now up into 7th place. So through turn 5, then we close right up to the back of Fabio Di Giannantonio. Is there any hard braking opportunities where we can try and make a couple attempts and go for a bit of a lunge? I'm not too sure, but I haven't got the grip on the left-hand side through this section of the circuit. Through turn 8 then. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I haven't got that edge grip to try and exit the corners and catch up to him anymore. Here we go then, through turn 9. Try to do this as perfectly as possible, losing the rear, flicking the bike over from side to side. We are right on the back of Fabio Di Giannantonio now as we go through turn 11. I just can't get on the gas. I can't get on the gas at all. But we're so close to just a couple of tenths of a second behind. Here we go down towards the penultimate turn. We've got to go for it on the inside of Fabio Di Giannantonio. But it's just not going to work. We're going to go into the grass. We went into the grass trying to make the pass on Fabio. And here we go then, out the last corner. We are just going to hang on to second place in front of Marco Bezzecchi. But I had to give it a go on that last lap. So it's a good job, really, that we pulled out a fairly decent margin over Bezzecchi, because I just got back on the track in front of him. Actually, a good few tenths of a second, because he was 2.3 seconds behind at the end. I was 1.8, but he definitely would have passed me on the run down towards the first corner, because I had no momentum. But I had to go for it on that last lap. I was so close to him. I had to try and outbrake him into that penultimate turn, because I wouldn't have beat him on the run to the line. I wouldn't have been able to flick it underneath him. I just wasn't that close. I wasn't close enough to be able to gain the time there. So I had to go for the dive. So close. But fair play to Di Giannantonio. He won that race on the first lap effectively by pulling away. Whereas I got stuck behind, obviously, Baldassarri and Bezzecchi a little bit longer than he did. And he got away. I lost the time. I had his pace the whole race. I mean, I was quicker than him. Apparently one of the AI has got the fastest lap, but I don't think that's a legitimate one. I think that's one of the simulated ones. So I did have the fastest lap, a couple of tenths clear of Digi, but we both were trading pretty good times throughout that race. We'll see who actually has got the fastest lap. Sommiket Chantra with a 41.4. Yeah, I'm sure you did a 41.4. I mean, same with the Renas and Ramirez and Balega. You did not get in the 41s because you were down in 20-something position. But a really good race there with Fabio Di Giannantonio. I really enjoyed that. Moto 2 so far is proving to be a good series, and we've proved that we have got the pace, so it's not going to be one of those things where I'm absolutely nowhere all season, so that's good to see. We are back up on the podium, another good qualifying position to back it up, so it wasn't a fluke that we got a front row start in Qatar, and hopefully this result won't be a fluke, but we'll have to see throughout the races to see if we're a little bit more on the pace. But the two Sky VR46 bikes then, they finished behind me, Bezzecchi and Vietti. Then the two Marc VDS bikes, Sam Lowes and Augusto Fernandez. And then Remy Gardner finished behind Augusto there in 7th position. Where did Ralph Fernandez finish? He ended up finishing 16th, so just outside the points. Not quite enough for Fernandez to get back in the points, but it doesn't matter because his total wouldn't go towards the team's championship anyway because he would have been the third rider. So in the Riders' Championship then, a lot has changed. Fabio Di Giannantonio actually takes the lead of the championship. Not sure where he finished in the last one. He must have had 13 points, so I think that must be about 4th, 5th place, something like that. I think it might be 4th position, so he must have just finished off the podium. Sam Lowes, of course, won the first race, but not a great result in the second one, so moves down to 2nd in the championship. I jump all the way up to 3rd in the championship, now tied with my teammate Remy Gardner for 3rd place. So the two top IO bikes had got the same amount of points. Joe Roberts drops down to 4th place. Bezzecchi and Vietti both move up a few because, of course, Bezzecchi and Vietti were right in front of me in that battle with Iagora in the previous race, if you remember. So we were near the two Sky bikes in the previous race and this one as well. I completely forgot that Bo Benschneider actually had a pretty good result, but he's dropped down again. Fernandez drops down 5 positions after his crash in this one. A costly error there for Ralph Fernandez. But the championship table looking pretty close, but Fabio Di Giannantonio now leads it. So in the Teams Championship then, still got the same championship leader with Marc VDS. Us with Red Bull KTM Ajo, we've got a bit closer, only 2 points behind now, so a super close battle. Sky VR46 as well, only 13 points down. Federal Oil Grassini are not too far off, but they're almost a one-rider team. Of course, Balega is actually going to bring points in, but Balega's not going to be fighting for victories on a consistent basis, whereas Fabio Di Giannantonio is. So he's at a bit of a disadvantage because it seems like Vietti is probably a little bit too good in the game. Probably a bit better than he should be. And obviously you've got Bezzecchi, who's going to be a championship contender. So poor old Di Giannantonio is going to have to carry the Federal Oil team. Italtrans drops down. Obviously Joe Roberts not having a great race. But similarly for him, Dalla Porta's never going to help him out particularly. So it's going to be a tough ask for those two to fight for the championship. But the top 3 teams, which are the 3 teams I said would be the top 3 when I was choosing which one to sign with, we are going to have a good battle for the championship. But with that race over now, let's head back to the career hub, end off this weekend, and hopefully we will have gained some decent reputation and credits. So then, from that weekend, we actually did gain a decent amount of reputation because we lost nothing for actually missing out on the team objective. We just got 0. And for the Q2 access, we got 500, which is always nice. But for the race, we got 7,700 because we got 700 for the bonus of second position, 7,000 for the base objective at the podium. And then obviously with the multiplier, we gained 8,200, which takes us up to 193,575 credits. Sorry, I meant reputation there, not credits. But speaking of credits, if we look at the credits for this weekend, then we gained 13,137, which takes us up to 204,344 credits. And the research data, this is what's super important at this point of a weekend, well, of a season, sorry. We passed all the objectives, got ×2 for the VIP multiplier. We gained nearly 2,000 on the engine there, 500 on the frame, 1,000 on the ECU. So a really, really good weekend there. We do definitely need to look at hiring someone that's a little bit better on the frame though, and I think I might go ahead and do that. I kind of want to get William White, because that should give us a lot more research data on the frame, which is quite crucial. It's only going to cost me 35,000 more over the course of a season, so potentially not the end of the world, but then I don't want to go bankrupt again like I did on MotoGP 20, that's the only problem. But I feel like it's probably worth it for the frame. I might leave it for now, but once we start to look at the frame, we'll probably hire that guy. But with no notifications between the 2 weekends, I guess we should head into Austin now, which is going to be a tricky one because there's so much change of direction in the first sector. And on this game, change of direction is something that they are much better at than the player. And it's actually going to really change the balance of this track, because that was a sector where you could gain a good second, maybe second and a half on the AI sometimes. They're not great around the rest of the track either, not going to lie, but the first sector especially, they lose a lot of time there. So the balance might shift completely. They might gain about a second on us rather than the other way around. So Austin could be a close one. It could still be a bit of a player beats the AI fairly easily, depending on how good they are around the rest of the circuit. So as we get towards the end of the first free practice session here in Austin, you can see currently I'm sat in P14, 1.9 seconds away from Sam Lowe's. You can see I've done 9 laps, so I have done plenty of laps. And if I show you the development test, I've only managed to do 1. I've only done 1 so far, because the rest of them require lap times that I just can't hit effectively. I think I should be able to do them in the next free practice session. It's just in this one I've not really had the pace. I've been building up, and I did manage to get under that 2:12.2 as you can see there. But unfortunately the tyre was too gone for me to improve then again on the next lap. And actually, speaking of tyres, I am running out of them. So if I just head back to the pits, there is a slight oversight, I would say, in the game with, well, I suppose the game is only doing what they do in real life with the allocations. But there's a slight oversight in the fact that there's not enough tyres left. Like, I've got all these softs, and that's great, but they're completely useless to me because you can't make a soft even last half a lap. So I have to use mediums. I've only got 1 set left. I'm saving that for qualifying. So I'm going to have to use 1 set of hard tyres in the next practice session to try and actually do the laps. Hopefully a hard tyre can do it. I mean, maybe I'll try a soft, but it's the same with the rear tyres as well. I've got all these soft tyres, but they're completely useless to me. There's no point in me having 4 sets of soft tyres because I can't use the soft. It shreds. And obviously here again, I've got a set of mediums I can use and a set of hards. I've got 3 sets of hards, so that's not too bad, I suppose. I can use a set of those, and potentially I could get away with a soft here. I'm not too sure. I need to try it in the next session, but at the minute we are in a little bit of trouble in terms of pace. But currently we are on schedule to go through to qualifying 2, but I'm going to go into the next practice session and give it another go to try and get more of the research data. So then, during this second practice session, you cut to me just running out of fuel actually, which is quite good at timing because I've just finished the clean lap with long lap penalty. I would have been very annoyed if I'd run out of fuel beforehand. And if I show you the rest of the development tests as well, I've done them all except lap by lap, and I did do 2 of those laps, and then on my final lap of it, my lap just wasn't as good, and I was a good half a second off, so unfortunately that ruined the whole thing. I always think that objective is very difficult because you have to do 3 laps that are better, but you can't just cruise around, you know, a couple of laps and then do a proper good lap at the end, because the time they set is pretty competitive anyway, so it is actually quite difficult. And obviously if you make a mistake on one of your laps, you're done, because obviously it has to be 3 consecutive laps, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But because I messed it up, I wasn't going to bother doing it again. But hopefully we should have the rest of them, because as you can see, I'm in second position. So hopefully that should take us through into qualifying 2. But you can see Ralph Fernandez actually has a whole second over me. We should return to the pits now, I would have thought, because we're out of fuel. So yes, we have returned to the pits now. So we quickly do have a look at the times. You can see Ralph Fernandez has got a good second over me, and then Jake Dixon is in 3rd place, Nicola Balega in 4th, and Sam Lowe's in 5th. So interestingly enough, it seems like one AI rider gets in the 210s and everybody else gets miles off that, which is really, really weird. It's kind of like in Qatar when Di Giannantonio had like a good half a second over everybody else, or like a good second over the rest of the AI. So I'll skip to the end of this session now. Hopefully we should get straight through into qualifying 2, and then I'm not sure what my pace is going to be like in qualifying. It will be interesting. So the session still ended with Ralph Fernandez on top, a second out of myself in 2nd, Jake Dixon in 3rd place, Balega in 4th, Sam Lowe's in 5th, Arbolino and Dalla Porta actually doing pretty well in 6th and 7th. Same with Agora really for a rookie. 9th for Jorge Navarro and 10th for Augusto Fernandez. So I'm not sure where Remy Gardner is. Once again, seems like he's having a bit of a low-key weekend. Yeah, down in 14th place. So hopefully that time is good enough to get us through to qualifying 2. It is going to be a tough qualifying session because honestly, I'm not sure where the AI have got this time. Well, some of the AI anyway, they do like a whole second quicker than the rest of them, because I can go red in the 1st sector, I've been red in the 3rd sector, I've been visibly quicker than them in the 2nd sector when I'm on track with them. So I'm not sure where they're finding the time. I can't see them finding like 2 seconds in the last sector to overthrow my time and then go a second quicker. So I'm not particularly sure where they're finding the time. I guess we'll find out in qualifying. But yeah, hopefully we can try and get another good starting position. Hopefully a front row to get the objective, but anywhere in the top 5 would be decent. You can see overall then, my fastest time is actually only 6th place, because you can see Sam Lowe's did the fastest time at 2:10.0 in practice 1. And then Marcel Schrotter and Agora were both in front of me. Oh, and Bo Benschneider as well. So we did make it through into qualifying 2, and it seems like Di Giannantonio jumped ahead of me. Barry Boltus got through into qualifying 2. So similarly to last time, Baldassarri surprising me putting it on pole. Barry Boltus getting through on merit into qualifying 2. It's not even like he did it through Q1. He did it in his practice times. But speaking of who came through Q1, we got Joe Roberts, Aaron Canet, Cameron Bobier, and the previously mentioned Lorenzo Baldassarri. So will he get pole position? Or I wouldn't be surprised if Boltus gets pole position, because it seems like AI that shouldn't make it through that do seem to do really well. So we'll have to see how Boltus gets on. But this is where it gets interesting. What tyres to use? A soft front is going to be totally useless to me. I can tell you that now. I think a hard front is going to have to be the one that we go for the race. So we're going to have to use a medium. I'm not sure if I can maybe make the soft rear last. I know I said I was done with the soft tyres, but it seems like I could be a bit kinder to the rear tyre at this circuit. Power Mode 3 will probably shred the soft anyway, but if maybe I use Power Mode 3 on the straights only, we can maybe do a decent time. I'm not too sure. It might end up, being a waste of time. We might have to come back to the pits anyway, but it's definitely worth a go. So you can see I completed my clean lap with long lap penalty. Vietti currently provisional pole with a 2:12.0, which I know that AI can obviously go a good 2 seconds quicker than. I can get into the 2:11s, I found out in the FP2 anyway. I could get through into the 2:11s. I did it a few times as well, so it wasn't just a one-off. I had found a bit more pace, obviously got a bit more comfortable with the bike around the circuit. The thing that probably is the most annoying about this track though is that pit lane exit, because the AI do come out right in front of you. We've gone in very wide into the first corner. We've just kept it on the road though, so not invalid yet. So I will keep going with it. So 4 tenths down in the first sector then, not ideal. Oh, Vietti's just crashed behind me. I think he tried to make a pass potentially. Something weird about the AI is they cut that inside corner. So if they're trying to pass you on that corner, they'll corner cut to do it. So that's something to watch out for in the race. Even if I'm safe to, what a potential pass should be, they could probably pass from a few tenths further back because they can cut the corner out. So that's worth noting. And on MotoGP 20, they had no problems cutting out turn 12 as well. So I presume it's probably the same, since they still cut the corner before that, turn 11. So through 13 then, we've had a lot of time in this section in a couple of places in practice. Well, a couple of sessions in practice. Hopefully that carries through, but honestly the soft is probably starting to hinder me a little bit now. It did last, actually, for a decent amount of time. So I think if you look after it, you probably could get a soft to work for a qualifying lap around here. Maybe not quite for me, but if you're a bit easier on your rear tyre, you can probably actually make a soft last. Because it's actually more of a front-limited circuit, which is odd. Well, I suppose there's a lot of heavy braking zones, so I suppose it's not too odd, but you would have thought the rear for a stop-start sort of nature would be a little bit more susceptible. So towards the line then, 2:12.3, so 3 tenths off Vietti, but obviously that's not going to be good enough. They're going to obviously go a bit quicker, so we need to try and improve. I'll try again on this tyre, and then I'll head back to the pits if I'm not improving. So Beaubier's just gone top with a 2:10.2. So Beaubier, that's pretty surprising. Gardner's just popped up there as well. But this time isn't any better so far, so I'm just going to have to head back to the pits. Try out our medium then. Well, I mean, I could try it with a soft, I suppose, but I think a medium's going to give me a more consistent running throughout a lap than a soft. So if we box now, we've got 7 minutes to go. Ben Schneider's just gone top with a 2:09.8. Bo Ben Schneider into the 2:09s. So heading into the pits then, this is going to be a close session with the AI. I'm going to be pretty far back, I think. Right, so I've gone for something a little bit unorthodox. I've gone for a hard rear. So I'm not sure how it'll perform, but I'm hoping I should be able to slide it in power mode 3 for the whole lap, and I'm just hoping that I can then push that enough to make up the time to the obviously the softer tyre will give you. I mean, it does die off after about half a lap, so I suppose you need to make up for about half a lap's worth of time, but we'll have to see if it works. So through the last turn and then coming up towards the line. What's this going to be on this lap? 6 tenths quicker, 1.9 off, which takes me up to 13th only. But the hard strategy is the way to go. This second lap wasn't as good. I just don't think I could quite put the time together like I did previously. So it's going to be at least 13th on the grid, if not worse. So this is going to be a strange race, because I've never even qualified this far back, you know, in this game. So I'm not sure what to expect. We're probably going to get swamped outside the points off the line, but yeah, the AI's qualifying times here are a little bit unrealistic, I think. I can't see them being hit realistically, but we'll have to see. Maybe in the race they'll come back to us because of that, but for once, the AI actually faster in qualifying than in practice. So at the end of the session then, Bo Ben Schneider was on pole position with a 2:09.8. I can't believe he's done that. Like, I can't even see that being done. Maybe by like a world record player or something. I don't know, maybe I just suck, but honestly, I can't even fathom doing a 2:09. I can't even get into the 2:10s. Well, the 2:10s doesn't make sense. I can't even get into the 2:10s. I can barely get into the 2:11s. I think I did a 2:11.4 was my fastest up on the weekend, and that was in free practice. So, unfortunately, we've not really had the pace so far in this one, but Sam Lowe's ended up third place then with Cameron Beaubier in second. Gardner fourth, Di Giannantonio fifth. 6th then for Marcel Schrotter, 7th for Baldassarri, 8th for Nicolo Bolega, 9th for Raul Fernandez, and 10th for Iagora. So I was pretty far off 1.9, but if I'd improved by a couple of attempts, I'd have jumped ahead of Bezzecchi and Roberts. But yeah, I didn't quite have Bo Ben Schneider's pace in this one. However, the race is a different story. We might be able to carve our way through a little bit in the race. I can't see Bo Ben Schneider and Cameron Beaubier staying at the front, to be honest. I feel like if they do, they'll probably hold up the other AI. So it could be quite spicy, so we'll get this one started, and hopefully it's a cracker. So then, of course, I'm going to go with the hard compound. I can't see myself making a medium, or maybe I can make a medium last. I don't know, that's the problem. The hard felt okay. It's not like, it felt awful or anything, and the mediums have been pretty shredded. Oh, I don't know, it's tough. I don't know how many laps the race is. Maybe it's like 5 laps or something. You know what, I'll go with the medium, because that's what's recommended to me by the game. I think a medium will last. We're 14th on the grid, so it's not like I've particularly got anything to lose anyway. I can only go backwards by 2 positions to be outside the points, so, you know, I've got to try and move forward. I can't afford to go backwards. So if the medium tyre is going to help me do that, then I've got to give it a go. So we'll start this race then. Hopefully we can make some progress forward, because this qualifying session was appalling, and they were quick in practice as well. Just, I can't believe the times are setting. I don't know whether it's just a glitch, the simulated times potentially being too fast, which is very much possible. It is a milestone game after all, so you never know. You expect these things sometimes. So we'll get this race started. Hopefully we can try and make up some positions. A top 10 would be really good.
While the race officials are waving the green flag, the riders gather their final thoughts and get ready to race another US Grand Prix here at Austin.
So then we've got Ben Schneider on pole, Beaubier second. I wouldn't be surprised if those two drop through the pack quite a bit. Waiting for the lights to go here then at Austin. Lights out and away we go. Can we try and get a few positions on this first lap? Well, so far no, because we've lost a position to Montella and to Boltus as we go down towards the first corner to try and brake as late as I can as we go into the first corner. We used to be able to dive bomb so easily at the inside through this corner. Honestly, it's not worked out too well. There's been a crash. It must be behind because I've not seen anyone in front go down. But we're back up into 14th, so we're in the same position we started, right behind Vietti, round the outside of Vietti. Then are we going to get past him? Yes, we are. A little bit on the inside, bit of a track limit. Well, a track limit's one in there, and Vietti pushes me into the back of Barry Baltus there. So that was very lucky that we didn't have a crash, but it's lost us a fair amount of ground to the back of the NTS rider. The rear steps out a little bit as I flick the bike over. The front is pretty cold at this point. Need to get a bit of temperature through it, because obviously there is a big snake train of AI in front. Another track limits warning, so we need to be careful. That's 2 already on this lap, and it's super easy to pick up one at Austin. I mean, to be fair, the first one, you know, was a little bit questionable. That time, obviously, it was completely my fault. But we're trying to go around the outside here of Baltus. Not quite been able to do that. Can we get the switch back underneath him? He kind of parked it mid-corner, so we've had a bit of contact with Barry. We've made the position up, though, up into 12th place. So it's been a scrappy, a bit of an aggressive first lap, honestly. But I need to get onto the back of this lead group. Obviously, Baldassarri in 11th. You can see it's a bit of a pat behind. Vietti and Agora both get past Barry Baltus as well. So after a good start for Barry Baltus, he drops backwards a little bit. We're going to turn 12. Closed up on the AI a fair amount there. And then into 13. Leave the door open a little bit, but luckily no one dive bombed, because I think they probably would dive bomb you if you give them the opportunity. But of course, you don't want to go too tight to that turn because it's slower. Through here, they definitely dive bomb you because they've done it to me in the past many times. I've ran a bit wide through 15 though. Just keeping in front of Agora. But honestly, you can see the other AI in front are getting away, so it seems like their pace is definitely real. And it's going to be a bit of a Qatar-like race where I'm not going to have the pace of the group in front. So at the end of the first lap then, 1.2 seconds behind Lorenzo Baldassarri in front, so we are in a bit of trouble. So then we have closed up a fair amount to these guys. Lowe's does the fastest lap, 2:11.1. I do a 2:11.3, so I've just gone quicker than my qualifying time in the race on the second lap. Well, that's interesting, but at least we are closing up to the AI. And here we got the inside of Ballega already. That was an aggressive move. I wasn't even trying to pass him. I was just trying to catch up to the back of them. But we are now in the pack at least, so potentially a top 10 could be on the cards. Here we go on the power around the outside of Nicolo Ballega. And we are up into 10th position then. Fabio Di Giannantonio, the championship leader, just ahead of him. So can we try and pick off Digi? Oh, looking at the inside of Digi, not quite been able to do that one. But I really want to beat him in this race if I can. Ballega back up the inside, trying to run it around the outside of Nicolo. Contact, because he didn't really leave me the space to flip the bike over. And it's frustrating because he's back in front, but I don't want to lose all the time I've just had to gain on the previous lap. Hopefully we could do the famous switchback through this corner. Lost the rear a lot when doing it though, but we've done it. He's still trying to hang it around the outside though, so fair play to him. The AI definitely been a bit more aggressive on this game so far, and hopefully doesn't corner cut to pass me into this turn. I've corner cut it actually instead, so now I'm up to my third trial limits warning. But luckily I was pretty well behaved on my second lap, so I've still got a couple to spare, but I've definitely got to watch out. So what's the gap to Digi now? 7/10, so I need to try and reel that one back in again. So at the last quarter then, about to start the penultimate lap of the race, we've got a pack of 3 in front. We've got Canet, we've got Di Giannantonio, and we've got Lorenzo Baldassarri scrapping over 8th position. And here we go into the first quarter. I've gained so much speed compared to around the outside of Fabio Di Giannantonio. Up the inside of Canet, we didn't pass either of them. Kind of ping-pong between the two of them because I carried a bit too much speed through there. But can we try and pass at least one of them? Here we go, we're going to go 3 wide, but we've had a bit of contact with Canet again there. We've moved past Canet now up into the top 10. We've got Di Giannantonio in front of us. I really want to pass Di Giannantonio. He's my target because, of course, he is the championship leader. Obviously, Sam Lowe's second of the championship is in second position in the race, so Sam will probably take the lead back off Fabio. So we are then right on the back of Di Giannantonio. Can we pull off a move into this hairpin? We've got to be careful. Don't want to pick up another track limits warning on this lap through the corner. We didn't on this occasion, although I think the AI probably would have done if they were players. I think they cut it a tiny bit. Not the best exit, but we've only got a 10th over Canet behind, so Canet will be looking to make a pass, I'm sure, down towards turn 12. Di Giannantonio looking to make a pass here on Baldassarri. Baldassarri's holding him up so much I might be able to catch up and pass both of them. Round the outside we go into the infamous turn 12. We've done a bit of a stoppie. Baldassarri on the inside. I'm trying to hang it around the outside. It's a bit of crash behind. Not sure who it is, but it's not Di Giannantonio and it's not Baldassarri. Baldassarri swoops back around the front. So to be fair to Lorenzo, he's kept in front, but I've passed the rider I'm most bothered about, and that is Fabio Di Giannantonio. So up into 9th place. Now closer to the back of Baldassarri. In fact, just rammed him up the back completely because he completely stopped in the middle of that corner. I think he's probably the only AI I'm going to be able to pass from now on because it looks like my teammate Raul Fernandez is a little bit too far up the road. I can't see myself catching him up if I'm honest. So it looks like I'm going to be the last of the IO bikes for the second race this season. But Baldassarri goes a little bit wide into the penultimate turn. Right on the back of him into the last corner now. We should be able to make a pass at this last corner because it looks like he's struggling for top end a little bit. So at the last corner then, Ben Schneider actually still leads with the fastest lap as well at 2:10.7. So I was a little bit wrong about Ben Schneider. Not sure where Cameron Beaubier has dropped to, but Ben Schneider has not dropped at all because he's still leading the race. So as we go down towards turn 12 once again, then we are closing up massively to Raul Fernandez. We almost hit him at the back actually through turn 12. We lost a fair amount of time because of that as well, but hopefully we can maybe have an attack on him before the end of the lap. So into the final turn then. It's going to be 8th place in this race, which I usually would be disappointed with, but from our starting position of 14th, I'll take it because we did not have the pace at this track. So in the end then, Ben Schneider wins the race, a second ahead of Sam Lowes in 2nd position, Remy Gardner in 3rd, Cameron Beaubier ends up in 4th place, 5th then for Marcel Schrotter, 6th for Bezzecchi, 7th for Fernandez, myself in 8th position, and Aaron Canet managed to go up into 9th. Baldassarri got back into 10th, so Di Giannantonio ended up in 11th position. So in the Riders' Championship then, Sam Lowes retakes the lead of the championship ahead of Di Giannantonio in 2nd. Remy Gardner moves back up to 3rd. Ben Schneider moves up to 4th. I drop down to 5th position. Bezzecchi stays put. Roberts moves down a couple of positions. Vietti moves down 1. Augusto Fernandez moves down 1. Raul Fernandez stays where he is in 11th in the championship. So then in the Teams Championship, you can see we've taken the lead. Bull KTM Ajo have now moved ahead of Elf Marc VDS Racing. So myself and Remy Gardner being shown there, but of course because we're the top 2 in the championship of our team. Sky VR46 then stay in 3rd. Same with Federal Grassini, they stay in 4th. But Mandalika actually move up to 5th position ahead of Ital Trans. And then Intact GP, MV Agusta, American Racing all move ahead of Petronas and Idemitsu as well. Idemitsu moved down 1. Aspar moved down 1 as well. Speed Up moved down, but Pons, HP40 and NTS stay in their positions. So overall, a pretty good salvage from the weekend. We went forward in the race, and obviously in Argentina we did the same thing. So a good episode overall because we showed that we could actually make passes on the AI and we could improve over our starting position. But they had some unreal pace in this circuit. I think if I'd started further up, I could have fought for the podium, but I started too far back. Obviously only 5 laps to, sort of make up the positions. So I was never going to do it. I think I was a little bit quicker than them, and the medium tyre was definitely the right choice on the rear because I just had a bit more grip. I could turn it underneath them a little bit easier in a few sections. A tough old race, a tough old weekend really. So let's head to the career hub now. It's not going to be good. We are going to lose a lot of reputation for not hitting either objective, but we should be pretty good because we gained a lot from the last weekend. So overall, we lost 7,700 reputation because we got 500 from the qualifying. The VIP multiplier doubled that, so we got 1,000 overall. And then obviously we lost 8,700. So that takes us down to 185,875. So we still got a pretty high reputation. And on the credits, actually, we got paid 600 again. So for finishing the race, I suppose, we got 600. Team objective, though, of course, we didn't get that on the podium again. So we're up to 204,944 credits. But this is where it matters at this point of the season for me, of course. The research data, we did do all of the objectives except best sector time, which was in the race. So I wasn't ever going to get a best sector in the race. Lap by lap, I didn't want to have to redo that. But we've got a fairly decent amount of research data now. You can see I've got 4,772 on the engine, 1,390 on the frame, 2,396 on the electronics. So that takes us to the end of this episode then, because there are no more notifications. So it's been a pretty good episode overall. We got our first podium, of course. We were up to 3rd place in the championship very briefly. Back down to 5th again now. But honestly, I think at the start of the season, we're going to have some bogey tracks. And speaking of bogey tracks, I think we're going to struggle a lot at Portimao. Of course, I won last year there, and that was just because the AI were crashing all over the place. I did have a little bit of pace in hand, I think, anyway, but Portimao is not a track I know extremely well. And I have a feeling that we are going to struggle a lot. We are going to struggle a lot at this circuit because I'm not going to be tuned in. I think that AI are going to have some pretty good times around there again. So it'll be tough because we struggled a lot at Austin, which is a track where that's usually a player track. That is a player track. You dominate the AI at that circuit. And they pulled out a pretty good race. I remember something similar actually happening to me in MotoGP 20 with Moto 2 as well. They managed to beat me there, and I think I finished in 8th place there as well, but it was a different scenario. I went from the front back rather than the back to the front. I think the AI in Moto 2 seemed to work really well around Austin, so it'll be interesting to see how it balances out. Of course, we beat Di Giannantonio, so not the end of the world. We gained on him a little bit. If we could be consistent, we should be able to work our way back up into a decent position in the championship. But we do need to obviously start hitting our objectives a little bit more. But I hope you guys have enjoyed that episode. Like I said, it was a bit up and down, but overall actually a pretty decent episode. Still our 2 best finishes so far. I've got to take that into account. So we finished 11th in Qatar, 8th and 3rd in this one. In fact, 8th and 2nd, sorry. Not too bad. I think that's pretty good. But like I said, I hope you did enjoy that one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.